You reach a stage in life where you think nothing can surprise you anymore. You've seen neighborhoods grow and change, watched your kids turn into adults, maybe even volunteered on a few local boards. Over time, you learn which hills are worth dying on, and which ones to let go. I thought I'd figured it out. Found a rhythm, a kind of calm that comes with age. That illusion shattered the moment red and blue lights spilled across my backyard, casting panic across my porch lights and pool water. And that's when I knew things had gone completely off the rails. Officer Thompson stood at my back gate, pen poised over his notepad, as a drenched teenager stood beside him pointing a trembling finger in my direction. He was performing like he'd been practicing in front of a mirror, claiming I'd locked him out unlawfully and threatened him. But I've been around long enough to know the difference between a genuine victim and a kid spinning a story. Thompson wasn't buying it either. The boy's accusations had more gaps than Swiss cheese. And I had proof to counter every single one. Let me rewind a bit. My name is David, and for the last 5 years, I've lived in a quiet corner of the Maple Ridge community. It used to be the kind of place where people dropped off banana bread, not complaints. Life was peaceful. No nonsense. That is, until the latest HOA election changed everything. The new president was Karen Piton, conveniently my next-door neighbor. From the moment she got elected, she acted like she'd been crowned royalty. Every morning, she paraded the sidewalks clipboard in hand, peering into yards like she was inspecting troops. It didn't take long to realize she loved the power, a little too much. For me, my backyard was my safe space. After long days crunching numbers at the accounting office, I'd come home, change into my swim trunks, and slip into my pool. It was the one place I could breathe. The previous neighbors respected that. Karen? Not so much. At first, it was innocent enough. Compliments about the pool, idle comments about how others in the neighborhood would really enjoy a dip too. I brushed it off as chit-chat. Until one afternoon, I noticed the pool gate wide open. At first, I blamed myself for forgetting to latch it, but something didn't sit right. I checked the security footage, because yes, at my age, you learn to trust cameras more than conversations. There they were, Karen's son Tyler and his friends having the time of their lives. Laughing, splashing, tossing wet towels over my furniture, soda cans bobbing along the surface. My private retreat looked like it had hosted a teen summer bash. I marched next door, trying to stay civil. Karen answered with that tight-lipped smile that screamed fake polite. I explained what I saw, showed her screenshots from my phone. She barely looked before waving it off, then dropped a bombshell. She claimed that, as HOA president, she had rights to all shared outdoor features, including, according to her, my pool. I stood there stunned. Was she serious? Did she actually believe her title gave her control over my personal property? I tried to clarify the difference between shared spaces and individually owned yards, but she brushed me off and told me to review the bylaws. Then she closed the door. That night I did just that. Sat down with the HOA paperwork and a highlighter. My old accounting instincts kicked in. It was all crystal clear. Article 7 stated unequivocally that backyard features, including pools, were private and under sole ownership of the homeowner. No ambiguity. No loopholes. The next day, I upgraded my pool gate with a top-tier keypad lock and posted a sign. Private property, no trespassing. Violators will be prosecuted. If Karen wanted to test limits, I was going to make mine visible. It was peaceful after that, for a little while. Then came Tuesday. I came home early, nursing a pounding headache, and as I pulled into my driveway, I heard raised voices coming from behind the house. My gut clenched. I rushed through the house and into the backyard. There was Tyler, halfway over my fence, one leg dangling on my side. His face was red with frustration, and he was yelling that I had no right to bar him from the pool. Said his mom told him it was still allowed. I kept my tone calm but firm, told him to leave immediately. That's when he accused me of discrimination, of breaking HOA rules, even called me a tyrant. I calmly took out my phone and warned him I'd be calling the police in 10 seconds. He cursed under his breath, jumped back over, and shouted that I'd regret this. I hoped that would be the end of it. I should have known better. Barely 20 minutes later, I was in the kitchen making tea when I heard sirens. I looked out the window just in time to see 2 police cars roll up to my front yard. The flashing red and blue lights pulled up in front of my home, catching me off guard. 2 officers stepped out and approached the front door. I met them halfway. The one in front introduced himself, Officer Thompson. He explained they'd gotten a 911 call from a teenager accusing me of threatening him and holding him against his will. I was stunned. The kid had really involved the police. I invited them in and explained everything, keeping my cool. I played the footage showing him trying to scale my fence, showed photos of my clearly posted warning signs, and highlighted the relevant sections of the neighborhood bylaws. Officer Thompson reviewed everything while his partner jotted down notes. Then came the chaos. Without knocking, Karen stormed into my home, screeching as if she were mid-meltdown on a soap opera. She accused me of endangering a child, threatened lawsuits, and demanded explanations. But Officer Thompson remained composed. He laid out what they had learned. Tyler, the teen, had trespassed and made a bogus emergency call. Karen went quiet. They brought Tyler over, he'd been waiting at the curb, and spoke to him firmly about the seriousness of what he'd done. The cockiness drained from him fast, replaced by stumbling apologies. Then they asked me if I wanted to press charges. I looked at the boy, just a scared, reckless kid. I said I'd let it go with an official warning, but made it clear that if it ever happened again, I'd press charges to the full extent of the law. The officers took their time, documented everything, and made sure both Tyler and Karen understood this wasn't a free pass. Karen tried to argue again, but Officer Thompson shut it down. He reminded her that being the HOA president didn't make her immune to the law. Then, loud enough for half the street to hear, he added that making false 911 calls could result in a hefty fine or even jail time. A few weeks later, I received a letter in the mail. It was handwritten by Tyler, nervous scribbles clearly written under supervision. He apologized and promised not to trespass again. It was stiff and awkward, but still it was something. Karen, however, wasn't done. She submitted a complaint to the HOA board, accusing me of being aggressive and demanding that board members be given access to private pools. She also claimed I should be fined for installing a lock without their approval. When the board meeting came around, I came prepared, with documents, photos, and the police report. But I didn't need them. The board was already fed up. Karen had apparently been abusing her position for a while. One member challenged her to point out where the bylaws gave her authority over private pools. She couldn't. Another mentioned how she tried to use her title to get discounts at stores. And then the complaints poured in. Neighbors spoke up about her trying to micromanage their sheds, their gardens, even their house paint colors. The board wasn't having it. They rejected her complaint unanimously. Then George Harrison, the treasurer, made a bold move. He called for a vote of no confidence in Karen's leadership. The vote passed 7-1. She was removed right then and there. She didn't leave quietly. Karen screamed, flipped over a water pitcher, and accused us all of being envious. Classic drama until the very last minute. But it didn't end there. The board decided to dig into the HOA's finances. What they found shocked everyone. Over $8,000 in personal spending on the HOA's card. Karen had claimed they were for the community, but there were no records to back it up. They voted to press charges. 2 weeks later, police cars came back to our neighborhood. This time, they had a warrant. Karen was arrested on charges of felony embezzlement. As she was led away in cuffs, she screamed that it was all because of me. I just stood at my window, a warm cup of tea in hand, watching the lights flicker across my lawn once again. And this time, I allowed myself a quiet smile. Some people believe they're untouchable. But life has a funny way of catching up with them eventually. Ask ChatGPT.